So this next question comes from a portfolio manager who's wondering how you go about doing your patent mining. How do you know when um, something around the enterprise is the kind of thing that you would file a patent upon, right? How do you kind of know, especially if you're not super technical, or maybe you are technical but not in the particular area that the innovators are working in. How do you go about making sure you're capturing what you need to capture? Um, and it's kind of the perennial problem. So I'm going to give you 5 things to kind of look for, right, as you think about this, and dig deeper and deeper and deeper depending on how many ideas you're trying to get into your patent pipeline. So, um, the first thing is start hanging around, the people with titles like developer, scientist, engineer. These are the sorts of people that if you've hired them within the enterprise, clearly you need some new things built, and those are the sorts of people that, as they're building these things, whether it be software or a chemical process or whatever, these sorts of people tend to come up with new ideas. That's why you've hired them. That's why they have those sorts of titles. So finding them and getting them to open up about what they do almost always leads to patents. If you can get them talking, and sometimes it's hard to get them talking, but very quickly they're working on all kinds of neat things, right? And then that's the seed that can develop into a patent. The other things to look for is often during this development process, you have natural checkpoints, right? You might have a design review, right? Or you might have a customer presentation. Those are all opportunities to get insights into what's going on with the things that they're developing, and look for things that could be patented. And ask questions like, has anybody ever done that before? Or are there advantages to doing it that way? Or have you ever seen anything like that before? Questions like that will get people talking pretty quickly about new things that have advantages over the competition. And that's what you're looking for, is newness and some neat neat advantage that new thing that they've developed produces. The other thing to watch for is product rollout, right? Patents are kind of funny in that unless you protect them pretty early in the process, like in the US, within a year of any sort of publicity or publication or release of them, you lose your ability to file a patent upon them. So when you see people talking about product that's about to be released, almost always going through part of the checklist should be, is there anything new? Is there anything patentable in there? What are the key selling features, right? And sometimes marketing is done, marketing happens hand in hand with that process. And if you think about the key features that the marketing folks, or the selling points that they're using about that new product, right? It's 20% faster or whatever. We'll find out why it's 20% faster. And if there's some innovation in there and some technology associated with that, that's the sort of thing you can file a patent upon. And then finally, the fifth sort of thing is, key executives on the technical staff, right? Look for, the CTO, chief scientist, and, those people ought to have a good bead on the new things that are going on. And to the extent they're not familiar with how patents work and the things to look for, is give them some training, right? Or bring in your outside counsel to give them some training if that's not expertise that you have. But those key people, key managers on the technical side, they should be looking for ideas that can be patented as part of their job, right? They tend to have their fingers and their tentacles going in a bunch of different directions, and most of that bubbles up through them, and that should be a normal part of what they're doing. So you might just have lunch or sit down with those folks each once in a while and find out what's neat and new, right? And then kind of follow it up from there. So those are the kind of the 5 things you should be looking for if you're within the enterprise and your job is to try and gather up ideas for patent protection. So I hope that helps. If you have any comments, leave them in leave them below. If you have any questions you want answered, also leave them below, and we'll get to it in another recording. All right, thank you.